call to order. Chisholm City Council meeting, December 13th, 2023, 5:30 p.m. Good evening, everybody. Susan, would you please take roll call?
Councillor Halverson.
Present.
Councillor McElrath.
Present.
Councillor Fallon. Absent. Councillor Halliwell.
Present.
Councillor Baki.
Here.
Mayor Laird.
Here. In council, I would look for a motion to adopt the agenda.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Pledge allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I don't believe there's any public participation. None. Okay, we'll start with council reports. Councilor Halverson, good evening.
Good evening. Since our last regular meeting, I attended working session for council, park board meeting, and 2 Redhead planning meetings. That's all.
Correct. There's just a lot of planning going on with Redhead right now.
Yes, there is.
Looking forward to seeing what comes of that. Councilor Baki, good evening.
Good evening. I don't really have much, just happy holidays to everyone out there. And, for once in a blue moon, we've had a decent winter so far. So good for Larry and his crew. I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Travis. Councilor McElrath, good evening.
Good evening. I was working session, the commission meeting, and formulate an interim plan for coverage of the executive director duties after the resignation of the previous director. And a search committee has been put together and is asked to bring back recommendations for
Councilor Oliva, good evening.
Good evening. I attended the same session.
Yeah, and myself, just the working session. The Rams had hosted the statewide task force on EMS had a field hearing today in Mount Iron. It was heavily attended. There was a lot of good input, and I really hope that our representatives and senators took a lot away from it. So, and other than that, unless there's any questions for me, we'll move on. Ambulance Director Tiffany, good evening.
Just a quick little update on a few things, just don't look it up here so often. Some of the things we're working on down at the ambulance garage is we have put together some in-house instructors for BLS, CPR, AED, first aid, heart start. So we'll be able to do that in-house training for the city and whatever else that looks like. Also, I'll be getting my instructor for ACLS and PALS, which are 2 credentials cards that are needed to keep paramedic licensure. With that, some people are aware of our ALS application has been accepted by the state and publicly announced on the register among other places, newspapers, stuff and things. That starts a 30-day public comment period. And then after that 30 days is when the state will come back, sometime after that 30 days, when it works for them, the state will come back in and check out everything I'll have to purchase for ALS to make us capable to be ALS in that 30 days, and then we'll be able to employ the current paramedics that we have, which is 4 of them, as paramedics in the city when they're on call. So that's moving along. And then also I had a meeting with our ambulance salesman, and he will be, he assured me that our ambulance is still on track to be delivered to us on August 24th, with the possibility of that coming up, depending on how that works out. I think that's about everything that we've got moving right now. Is there any questions about anything? Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Fire Chief Chris is at training tonight. Police Chief. Building Official Mandy, good evening.
Just have a short report. Just wanted to update you just on the year end and what the year looks like in the building department for 2023. To date, we have a total of 153 permits, and the value of those permits totals $12,899,000. It's been a really good year for us. We did have one IRRB grant for the residential redevelopment program, which took in a total amount of $18,585 for that. I just wanted to give you an update and say Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mandy. It's good to know how much money is being invested in the community, and so it's good to see. City Engineer, Mr. Johnson, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Just very briefly, we receive bids next Wednesday, so we want to invite you to that bid opening if you're available at 10 o'clock right here in the council chambers on our 5th Street South project. In this regard, maybe you saw in the paper last week, we did receive a $400,000 grant from IRRB for that project, so that is in the works. And then I think you each got a copy of the newsletter that we sent out to those residents. And the biggest thing, the response has been rather slow of those residents to get their sewer lines televised so we can also do the inventory on their water services. In talking with our public utilities people, they indicate that probably all of those water services, unless it's been replaced in the last couple of years, probably has lead services where it tied into the main out in the street when they were built back in 1910, 1920s. Evidently it was all galvanized with lead joints and so forth. So, and it's the opportunity for those people to get it replaced all the way to their house at no cost to them as part of the project. So it's just, hopefully we can encourage them to get the televising done so we can inventory the water service as well and get all that lined up for hopefully a good construction project next year. Thank you. That's all I've got other than what's on the agenda.
Okay, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have one thing on the agenda, but a few updates. We'll close off the streets tomorrow about 4:30 for the Light Up the City celebration. Looking forward to that. Hopefully I can attend. And then we'll, with the beautiful weather, we'll keep it up until folks get to the sidewalks and the kids are making their way home, school night, and then we'll open it back up again. So we're thinking like 4:30 to 7:30 and put some extra garbage cans up and stuff like that. So we're helping there. And then, you know, with the weather, it's easier on the budget and easier on the equipment right now. So we've transferred to maintenance projects, some equipment rebuilds, stuff like that, some extra cleaning. So we're keeping busy in Public Works, but it sure is an odd year. If you remember last year having 2 snowstorms, plowable snowstorms in October, and this time last year was that 27-inch snowstorm. It was the 13th of December, I believe. So we plowed for like 5 days straight. So that's the time of year it is, but it sure is nice going into winter, Christmas like this once in a while. So we completed our OSHA annual training, thanks to Mandy and the team there that helped get that all together, especially with the weather. That eats up a day. And we did have a slip, trip, and fall in Public Works, but so we're working through that. And you know, if we do have incidents, we really hope that they're really minor incidents. We're not having big events. So, you know, we work in dangerous jobs, and you know those things happen. So slip, trip, and fall is pretty common, and the employee's good, and just a little rest, and he'll be back at it. So. And we're working through water and a possible water infiltration to our fuel system. Our fuel system at the garage is about 30 years old. And we think we found the problem. We had a contractor from the city's Tankology. What an amazing company, what they do. So we're dialing in on it, and I'll update the council and everyone when we can on that. So in the meantime, Eileen and everyone has made, and Misty, and we work together. We're getting fuel over here at the Senex Corner Store. Super nice folks over there. They helped us out, boom, like within an hour and a half of identifying the problem that we needed fuel. They helped us out immensely, so appreciate it. Tiffany too. Tiffany was great with that. So thanks everyone on that. seem to be dealing with a lot at the end of the year in Public Works. And then the lead line project just went live, and we have about 9 months to complete, and looking forward to that. So we got a new GIS program all on the iPads and stuff, and then the information's there forever. It's not tucked away in a file somewhere. So
Excellent.
that's what we're doing. I know it's quite a bit.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
City Parks. Library Supervisor, Katie, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. A few updates and some announcements from the library. We have a new after-school program called Creative Kids that Debbie and Michelle have done a wonderful job implementing and promoting. The program is geared towards like 8 to 12-year-olds. It's after school on Wednesdays, and the program currently involves like crafts and snacks and like STEM-inspired play. It's been a really well sought-after program with lots of participants and positive feedbacks. And in addition to like the success of the program itself, it's really helped alleviate some of the congestion on the computers after school. So we can experience a lot of that in the after-school hours. So it's really been beneficial to have like this program, and it's shifted some of the excitement and entertainment of the computers into providing like an opportunity of like less screen time for kids and more of like time for connection and play. So it's been really good. Other than that, Bringing Light to Chisholm is tomorrow. The lights turn on at 5:15. It looks like we have like a high of 44 degrees, so I'm anticipating a lot of people out and about. We have a ton going on. And basically, I know we talked about this, but the event is really centered around our beautiful downtown and showcasing the light and community spirit that's very unique to Chisholm. So I'm just going to run through a few of the highlights we've got going on. The Llamas and the Traveling Farm will be back from Cook's Country Connection. We have a book reading at the library with Mrs. Claus starting at 5 o'clock. 30 West is going to be they're going to be organizing a lit up bike parade that's planning to start at 30 West and ride up Lake Street around 5:15. Vima's going to be hosting a coloring contest with the chance to win chamber cash. Parks and Recs, Bridget is going to be putting together like a fishing themed Santa photo booth, and the kids get to do like some fishing for gummy worms and fish and take some photos. The PD, Fire Department ambulance crew is all planning on lighting up some of their vehicles for the evening. That's new this year, and I think people are pretty excited about it. There's going to be a horse-drawn sleigh ride sponsored by the Chisholm Activities Committee. The pickup and drop-off will be at Jim's. I think Tom and Jerry has a few surprises, and they're definitely worth stopping out and checking it out at Tom and Jerry's. And then we also have some good old-fashioned caroling that's going to start at 5:15 at the library, and anybody's welcome to join in with that. So just wanted to end tonight's report with just a huge shout out to the participating businesses and the volunteers and the employees of the city, and just their willingness to volunteer their time and come up with events and just bring some extra light and cheer to the community. So looking forward to it, and I hope I see you guys out tonight, tomorrow night.
Thank you, Katie.
All right.
And you are correct. Yeah, it's all everybody that's putting in for this, and that's why it makes Chisholm stand out.
Yeah, it really
So
is.
thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
City Attorney Brian, good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I have no formal report, but I'm happy to field any questions the council may have.
Hearing none. City Clerk Treasurer Eileen, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, members of council. Nice to see everybody. I have a couple things to share. Last week, both Christy and I attended the presidential nomination primary training that was put on by the county, and we learned some really important, notable changes as far as the legislation is concerned regarding election laws. The most important that I wanted to convey to you is typically we submit to council for adoption the annual resolution to declare the location, the polling location, but if there aren't any changes, we don't need to do that. So we won't see one coming up in the next council meeting, so I just wanted to share that. The presidential nomination primary is on Tuesday, March 5th, just for your information. So we're doing preparations for that election, and it's going well. So Christy's a pleasure to work with, and her expertise is is certainly welcome. Some year-end transaction processing that the accounting team is working on. I just wanted to share. We have some projects set up to occur in January. We just contracted Shred It. I don't know if you noticed the bins that we have out here. And we've put into place our document destruction records retention documentation policy. It's been communicated to all the department heads. So we're ready to roll with that. I'm looking forward to doing some cleanup. I know personally in my department, there's a lot of records that we could destroy. So we'll follow the guidelines put forth by the documentation provided by the Minnesota Historical Society, I believe, who I referred to, as well as the LMC, and we'll make sure to dot the I's and cross the T's. So we're looking forward to that project. January is typically a down month for us, so because it's right at the beginning of the year. We're also looking forward to the review of 2023 revenues and expenses, right? It'll be exciting to take a look at that in January. Also, I wanted to share Larry and I are collaborating on a clean, heavy-duty off-road equipment grant, which is due next week. So it's exciting because it's something new I'm endeavoring, as well as Larry. I don't know if you've done grants before. So it's kind of fun to do something new. So I'm looking forward to working with him on that. And then I'll save all the awesome details for Stephanie to share, but regarding the public safety building, we did get the final documentation request from the state submitted for our first reimbursement. So we haven't heard back that there's any issues with what we provided, so we should get that reimbursement very, very soon. I would anticipate the year end we should receive that. And as well as the federal congressional spending, we did some, we reached a milestone with that funding, and I'll let Stephanie share that with you. But we should be submitting our reimbursements shortly for that money as well. So, and then last thing I wanted to share, in the council packet for next Wednesday, I've invited Corey what's his last name? Boyer from 4M to do a short presentation about the investment products that that particular organization offers. He did provide an example per council's request when I had mentioned this the last time, a couple council meetings ago. And so I'm looking forward to the information he's going to present. It'll be in your packet for you to review. We're keeping it simple, it's a 2-page FAQ fact sheet for you to review. So I'm really excited about that and the yields that the city could potentially earn if we transition, if you choose to transition our resources to that organization. Just wanted to give you a preliminary, get ready for that information. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you. Eileen, what was the grant? What were you and Larry were talking about?
Clean, heavy-duty, off-road equipment. I don't know if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, so we have a 1990 backhoe, and there's a government program, which is right for municipalities, which is rare, that we can update. They can give us up to 50% match to update the machine to a clean burning.
Oh, I see.
diesel.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Exciting. Thank you. Okay, City Administrator, Steph, good evening.
Good evening. Eileen touched a little bit on the public safety building. It's a big piece of what we are obviously doing right now. I've been working with the staff on a couple things that have come up that will be located into that building. We are working through the furniture selection and getting hopefully quotes on those coming up shortly. As Eileen said, we met with Tyler is his name, from the USDA, which houses our congressional spending money from the federal government, $3.5 million. We signed that final agreement, so that was the last piece of funding that last hurdle we had to get through to finalize all of our funding, so everything is ready to go, and reimbursements will be coming through. So that is exciting. I also want to highlight the Bringing Light to Chisholm. Thank you to the volunteers that are working on that. That's a big undertaking for our community. Thank you to Katie for starting this. And it just keeps growing every year. The community's been really receptive to it, and it should be great tomorrow. The other thing I do want to touch on is we all know we are a small town. We have big dreams, so I want to appreciate the staff when they go out and they're getting extra grants for projects that we're working on. I would say every department does that, which is huge because it's not everybody's not comfortable with it, but they all try really hard and they're seeking out grants, and a big portion of the projects that we do come because of those grants that I believe Chisholm's been really successful in. So thank you to the staff for that. That's a big piece of our budget. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because of our staff, Chisholm has been very successful over the last couple of years, so great work to all of you. Council, I would, moving on to the consent agenda, which is the list of bills, communications, October 19th, 2023 HRA minutes, Security State Bank notice of data breach, November 7th, 2023 Parks, Trails, and Rec Advisory Board meeting minutes, minutes of previous City Council meeting, November 16th, 2023 working session meeting minutes, November 22nd regular meeting minutes, November 29th working session meeting minutes, payroll and overtime. If there's no changes or additions, I would look for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. No unfinished business, so moving on. New business. Mr. Johnson. Jim, good evening.
Hey again, Mary. Page 18. Right, quickly take you through the application number 9. And if you'll go to column G, we're completed this page. And just to quickly take you through that, if you take all the items down about 3/4 of the way and underline at $44,355, that total down to that point is $703,262.10, 703,262.10. And then if you take 1.75% of that, which is the fee that Adolphson and Peterson earned of work completed, that amounts to that number that you see just below there of $12,307.09. That's how that is computed. So you see the total work completed this past month at the bottom of that column, that is $715,569.19. Then if you'll go over to the first column under column I, the total completed and stored to date, if you exclude the first number up there of $721,700 and then exclude the four numbers about 3/4 of the way down that range from the $127,481 down through the $98,580.25. All the other numbers except that first number and those four numbers that I just outlined, that total is $4,666,692.59, I believe it is. Can't read my own writing. And that's what determines our retainage. Those 5 items are not included in the calculation of retainage, but 5% of that $4,666,700 amounts to $233,334.64, which is a number that you'll see when we go back to page 17. And then at the bottom of that column, you see the total work completed and stored to date, which is the total of all of those numbers, being at $5,773,637.14. Those are the numbers that we need, so it will switch back then, page 17. See the original contract amount of $11,199,947. Then that number we just looked at is that total work completed to date or stored on site being at $5,773,637.14. The next item is that retainage of that 5% that we just went through that calculation of $233,334.64. Such that total amount due, which is the total work stored on site to date minus that retainage, as you see, is $5,540,302.50. Previous payments coming across on line 7. That has been paid out previously of $4,854,746.41. Such that the current payment due per this application is $685,556.09. And then the last number is just that balance of what the original contract that you see in line 1 minus total work that's been completed to date. So as you see, we're basically about 50% of the way there in terms of cost of the project. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, Council, if there's no questions, I would look for a motion to approve pay application number 9, in the amount of $685,556.09.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Is there any further discussion? No? I'd just like to say if anybody does need or want to go down there and have a tour, just reach out to Steph, and it's pretty amazing. So, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Moving on, Larry. Good evening.
All right, thank you. And there, just a quick one, easy one for you. We provide garbage service to the Vulcan recycling site, and they closed down a couple of remote locations between. So now it's the Chisholm Vulcan site, and then they have the Side Lake area one. But the names of the smaller sites escape me. They were very remote, and they shut those down, so we've seen an increase in volume, and we track all that in the garbage trucks. We calculated out to be about a third increase, and we talked to the county about it, and they agreed to up it to about a third refundable to us. So this is just asking for your support, so Stephanie and the mayor can sign this addendum to our contract, stating that they'll give us another $333 a month instead of the third cup 1,000. So 1/3 increase.
Excellent. If there's any questions, I would look for a motion to approve the amendment number 4.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Good job, Larry.
All right, Stephanie.
First item I have on the agenda, we did have a couple owners' items with the public safety building. This is one of them. We've approved a couple other ones throughout the process. It's the lockers for the fire in the amount of $15,660. I did notice that this was dated in March, but they did say they would have pulled that price. We do have documentation that says that. So what I'm looking for is approval of $15,660 for the lockers for the public safety building.
Excellent. Somebody's holding a price from 6 months ago. That's amazing. All right, Council, if there's no further questions, I'd look for a motion for approval of from Gear Grid, amount of $15,660.38.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item I have on the agenda is the contract with North Shore Human Resources. As you know, we have been utilizing Ravina Claxton for our HR consulting role. She's been very good to work with. She works a lot with Susan and other department heads on any needs that come across. So this is a 12-month contract extending. Her current contract is up in January. So I'm looking to approve this. This is a budgeted item that we have for 24.
Okay, council, I would look for a motion to approve the contract renewal for North Shore Human Resources.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up, council, under myself, we do have some appointments that need to be made by the end of the year. In your packet, you do have the list of the open seats, or the seats that are becoming vacant, so everybody can reapply. We did talk briefly, it was made in mention, talking about when we do these appointments. Some of the council might want to see applicants in person, come and address the council with your application instead of just trying to pick somebody without knowing who they are, meeting them, any questions. I'm not sure what that would look like if we did try to do that. I know we do have to make an appointment for these 2 seats next week. What happens if an individual can't make it, if they do work an afternoon job, or is it something we would try to put together a working session to review these boards and the applicants? So just before we did anything, I wanted to bring it here to get you guys' opinion and come to an agreement on how we should move forward. And however we do move forward, we should make sure that we're consistent and we treat every board the same. If anybody's thoughts and feelings, keep doing it the same way we're doing it. Would we like to see applicants come and address the council?
So these are the citizen appointments, not the council members?
Yep.
Okay.
And the 2 that we do have to do at the next council meeting, they will be on the agenda, are the Chisholm-Hibbing Airport Authority and the Central Iron Range Sanitary Sewer District.
Do we have applicants for those?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And more than just the open seats, so.
Well, I guess I'm one of the people that brought up that we should, at least learn a little bit more about why they want to be on the board. We have, I think on the application is maybe 2 lines for them to put down why they want to, maybe we ask them for, maybe we just make it a requirement that they give a better explanation of what their goals are or why they want to be on that board. It's difficult because all the boards are important, but some deal with the PUC board, for example, deals with people's water rates. Not all of the boards have an authority like that, so it's difficult to. I don't know if there's a win-win situation on how to do that. I just think maybe we just make it a little more, hey, you need to really take time to think about this section of the application and be specific, because I don't want to run into an HRA situation again, for example. Not that I'm not saying we will, by any stretch. I just think that they need, there are some board seats, and I think we would all agree that they're, people just, all they do, they don't have to do anything. They just automatically get renewed to be put on the board. So.
Any other thoughts?
I'm all for interviewing process, come address the council, 3-minute speech. It wouldn't hurt.
So we're going to have their applicants in the agenda, and then they attend the meeting, and we address each opening and address each applicant one at a time, and then make a decision, because we have to by January 1 on these first 2, and then the rest we have to do it by February 1.
Our city boards are February.
Yeah.
Would there be an alternate if they're unable to come to the meeting?
Yeah, I think if we have the applicants in our packet ahead of time, and then if they're here, we can put each one on the agenda and talk to each one and make a decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, going forward, if we make that a requirement going forward, I mean, it'd be tough for next week. Obviously, we might just have to appoint for those boards, But going forward, if that's the way we want to do it, then by the people that apply for boards starting in February, we can put right on the application. You will, you will come and address council.
We could always look at them earlier too, so we give them a chance, like if we open the boards up in October, they have November, December, when it's, convenient for them. Obviously, even board members have other lives, and some work shift work and.
I have a couple of concerns. I would be concerned that it could be a deterrent to come and speak in front of people, for people to apply to boards. And we sometimes struggle to get interest. Frankly, I'm one of those people. I actually don't like talking in front of people, so if I don't have to volunteer to do it, I'm not going to. I think that looking at the application again and seeing if there's different wording we want to use, if we want to make note on there that the application has to be filled out completely for it to be accepted and reviewed by the council, I would be in favor of that, but I really struggle with interviewing people, and also that could take a really long time. If you get, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boards that start in February. You get 3 applicants each, however many, and you want them to speak for realistically about 5 minutes. It's a long time.
Mayor, if I can make a suggestion, just going through this process right now, we hear the questions on the application to the job itself too, and it's not a standard application. It could be an updated application that actually has relevant questions to the role and responsibility, and then you would get a better feel for the person and their goals and such.
We could read it, yeah.
Instead of the parks and the HRA being the same application, it should be more pertinent to
Geared
the
towards
position.
I like that.
Yeah, I think our app is kind of generic for every board.
Generic.
Yeah.
There would be work to develop a specific
But we
one.
could get to
it's
each
a good
board,
idea.
have them come up with their own
Definitely utilize Ravina.
specific.
Utilize Ravina.
Yeah.
So I get a
Also-
motion to direct, sorry, what?
I was just thinking tech-wise, you could create an application that we can make it available so that people can still fill out paper applications, but we could also make it so that it's, depending on which board you choose, it populates specific questions to that board. That's just me being nerdy.
Good idea, Larry. So we'll motion to direct our administrator to work with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd look for a motion to direct our administrator to work with our HR consultant to come up with applications.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
This will be 25,
Right,
actually.
right. Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to have it done by next month. Well,
Can everybody refill out that?
perfect, excellent. Thank you, everybody. All right, moving on. Councilor Oliva.
Okay, so Commissioner Dragovich, former city councilor and former mayor, is looking for our city support to get on the LCCM MR board. That board was held by Senator Thomasoni at one time, and he's a very huge advocate for Rhode Island Range. And Mike Dragovich does a lot for our area. He's a big, huge advocate for Rhode Island Range as well. He's looking for our support and a letter of recommendation to send out to St. Paul for him to get on his board. So,
This is a governor-appointed board, right?
Yes.
Right? Or position, I should say. Position.
yep.
I think it's very important that we have a delegate from us, at least try to get a delegate from our area. I agree, I think it'd be very good for us.
No, I have no issues with
Sounds good.
Okay. And I would look for a motion to approve Stephanie and our HR put together a letter of recommendation. Obviously, we're gonna have to revise this, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Yes.
Second?
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Miscellaneous. So we have a 1-week break, but we will be back next week for our rescheduled, or we have changed our meeting date to the 20th. We also have our Truth and Taxation meeting that night. So we are going to be looking to obviously set the agenda and get it out to you. So I'm not sure if anyone has any ideas or, miscellaneous topics you want to put on there. Anybody else have anything else they would like to add? Currently under miscellaneous?
I think so.
No? Okay, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Have a good night, everybody.